This video is brought to you by Aaron Clary, author of The Curse of the High IQ, all of our wonderful fans on Patreon, and viewers like you. Thank you.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
So I recorded a video about the Rotten Tomatoes score of Solo, a Star Wars story, and then I saw this. So this news comes from comicbook.com. Star Wars, Lucasfilm says Lando spinoff is next. It's just what I always wanted. While Solo, a Star Wars story is still a week away, Lucasfilm has seemingly already confirmed the next standalone movie as it centers around fan-favorite smuggler Lando Calrissian. Many reviews of Solo have pointed out Donald Glover's screen-stealing Lando as one of the highlights of the film, and it looks though the studio agrees with the sentiment. During an interview with Premiere France, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy confirmed that Lando will be getting his own Star Wars story, and it sounds like the project has vaulted to the top of the studio's priorities. "We think that the next spin-off will be dedicated to Lando Calrissian," Kennedy said. "Of course there are still many stories to tell about Han and Chewbacca, but Lando will be next." Ever since Disney began distributing Star Wars films in 2015, the standalone movies have alternated years with the newest trilogy in the Skywalker saga. With Solo arriving this month and Star Wars Episode 9 hitting theaters in 2019, the next available spot for the franchise is 2020. With the buzz surrounding Glover, not just Lando, but with his hit TV series Atlanta and global phenomenon music video This Is America, it would make sense for Lucasfilm to rush a Lando movie to the forefront of production. Seeing how Glover always dreamed of playing the role, actively pursued it, and signed on for multiple movies with Lucasfilm, it's safe to say he's on board for the standalone adventure. The only thing still left to determine here is what Kennedy meant by next. She could have meant that it will be the next standalone movie, meaning it will likely arrive in 2020. However, she could have also meant that it will be the next movie going into production, which could see it hit theaters at any point over the next years. The only other Star Wars story that has been talked about is the standalone Obi-Wan Kenobi film, and I'm going to stop reading the article there. I don't know how to feel about this. Lando Calrissian has never sucked. I like him in Empire, I like him in Jedi, he's interesting. But I haven't seen him in Solo, a Star Wars story, so I'm not really excited by this news. What I think about the situation is that Kathleen Kennedy is jumping the gun. Just because critics like something doesn't mean the fans will. Look at The Last Jedi. There's like a 50% discrepancy. Approximately. Donald Glover could be amazing in Solo, but as someone who likes entertainment, Donald Glover is not on my list of celebrities to watch in any year, let alone this year. And no, I don't think there's any SJW politics at work with this one. I think it's just the fact that they want to capitalize on something popular to keep the people happy. Because Lucasfilm knows how we feel about them. Sorry for the Scott Steiner reference, I'm quite embarrassed. But Lucasfilm does know how we feel about them. They'd be stupid not to. There's no way they couldn't. Channels like this reach millions of people, and the word is out there. With this news of Lando being the next movie, I don't know what they're going to tell. Are they literally going to tell about one story they have to tell about Lando? How he became the administrator of Cloud City? Like, that's the fucking movie. I just wrote it for you guys in 3 seconds. There you go. He goes off dejected after losing the Millennium Falcon to Han Solo, and he goes and he establishes, or goes to become the Baron of Cloud City, the administrator of Cloud City, and maybe Darth Vader will get involved, and you'll see how they smuggle Tabana gas, and you'll see how he keeps the Empire out of it, and it'll end when the Millennium Falcon lands on the platform for The Empire Strikes Back. There you go, folks. You don't even need to see the fucking movie. I just made the movie for you in your heads, because you already knew the story. You know that Lucasfilm likes to take a little snippet of the history of a Star Wars character and turn it into a full-blown film. No imagination required. They just take someone else's work and use it as their own. You know, if Lucasfilm was a student, they'd be kicked out of school in the first week. They would bully the smart kid and steal his work, but eventually the teacher would catch on and kick that little bitch out. And the more interesting thing to me than the Donald Glover Lando movie getting pushed up in production would be the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi might not happen. So does that mean that Fantatrax was full of shit? Probably was. Then again, it was just a rumor. But it made sense that they were going to take the crew from Episode 9 and allocate those resources over to the Obi-Wan film. So I guess they're just going to do that for the Lando film, but I think the fans would rather see an Obi-Wan film. I know I personally would, and I don't even like the prequels that much. But to go back and see another Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi story post-Episode 3 between Episodes 4 that doesn't ruin the fact that he's waiting on Tatooine for Luke Skywalker, I'm all for that kind of story. Lightsabers and Jedis and fun stuff, and you could have Darth Vader not interact with Obi-Wan Kenobi because in the Star Wars film he goes, "We meet again at last," so they can't meet. But you could have Darth Vader on the hunt for more Jedis. You could maybe see Obi-Wan save a Jedi or two and get away and not let Darth Vader sense his presence. There's all kinds of things you could do. there's more drama to be had out of an Obi-Wan Kenobi film over a Lando Calrissian film. I mean, Lando's cool. Lando was a smooth space pimp, or spimp, depending on your vernacular, who was almost the coolest guy in the room. Now when Han Solo, as played by Harrison Ford, was in the room, put it like this, Harrison Ford is the only white dude that can make Billy D. Williams not the coolest guy in the room. What does that say about Harrison Ford? Everything. Donald Glover is some nerdy black dude with an overrated TV show and a music video that's just made for shock and awe value. And I'm not a fan. Does that mean he'll be shitty as Lando? Probably does, because I just don't think the guy can fucking act. I think that's a problem with all these Star Wars movies. These people aren't that good of actors. Daisy Ridley is a fucking brick wall, flat as a board, and has a personality to match. Oscar Isaac is lost in this film. John Boyega is a joke. Where's his British accent? Why does the black dude gotta sound like he comes from America? Weird things they're doing over there. Alden Ehrenreich has an acting coach on set. So I don't really have any more faith in Donald Glover. If anything, I'm convinced that he lobbied for the part because he wanted to play the role, and they gave it to him because he's famous enough and was probably willing to negotiate with Lucasfilm and give them everything they wanted because he's such a fan. And yet, it's nice to have fans working on stuff sometimes, but if they're not good enough, then don't hire them. So that was my little impromptu rant about Lando. I have a Solo a Star Wars story video to come out, but I guess this is more topical, so I'm going to pull a Lucasfilm here, and I'm going to rush this into production. The other video will come out later. You know what? I'll put it up on Patreon today, and you guys can check it out over there, and I'll put it on YouTube at a later date. So let me know what you think of this rumored, not even really rumored, Kathleen Kennedy said it herself. So is she full of shit? Well, you already know the answer to that one. But is it actually going to happen? I'm going with yes. It'll probably be out in 2020. Lando, a Star Wars story. Lando, a bullshit story. And I already told you the plot. He inherits Cloud City from his Uncle Tim. They go on to form the Tabana gas colony that we know. You know what? Maybe the movie ends with somebody finding Luke Skywalker's hand. That'll tie Maz Kanata's story nicely together. She did say it's a story for another time, and maybe Lando's story is that other time. As always, thank you for watching World Class Bullshitters. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it, and tell everyone about World Class Bullshitters. If you can, you know what? You can. Join our Facebook page. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of people over there, and it's a great community to have great in-depth discussions and share memes about entertainment. The only rule is, there are none. And if you feel so inclined, make sure you join our Patreon page. $1 a month goes a long way. $5 a month, which is only 17 cents a day, goes even further. And we're launching a website, and we're making merchandise, and we're doing all kinds of great world-class bullshitter stuff. And if you want to get involved with that, join the Patreon to make it happen, and you'll always hold a special place in our hearts. Was that too sappy? Yeah. We'll always appreciate you. And we'll give you a shout-out. So that's it for today's video. I'll be back later with more. And be on the lookout for our Deadpool review, as well as a little series I'm coming up with that I'm not going to tell you about yet. But I got about 5 or 6 episodes mapped out, and you'll only get it here on World Class Bullshitters. So thank you for watching, and good luck.